Hello, and thank you for listening to this episode of the Billy Newman Photo Podcast. My name is Billy Newman, and I'm here today with Dave Swanson, back again to talk about some truck stuff and some photo stuff, some updates that we've been doing. Dave, how you doing?
Hello, Billy Newman. Billy Newman, always a pleasure. I'm doing great. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man, and I'm glad that you're here. This is, I think, the first one that we've done with everything set up here.
The new mics, yes, sir.
Studio. Yeah, we got the mic set up, and I think it sounds really good. We got both the arms going and the filters and stuff. It's been pretty fun having it. I dig having like the monitors and stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely helps out.
Yeah, it's been cool. But yeah, so we got this going like a couple weeks ago, or I guess like what, maybe 2 now? Maybe just under 2 weeks. We've
probably
had this
just
going.
Under 2.
Yeah, and yeah, it's been great though. We've been trying to get into like more podcasting stuff, so we're trying to figure out more stuff that we can do. I want to do more of this podcast, like the Billy Newman photo one, where we just talk about whatever.
Right.
Probably photo stuff is what I'd like to get more into.
Yeah.
But it's more like flexible. We can do whatever with it. But then we're trying to do the Night Sky podcast. Did I send you a link for that one?
You did?
Yeah, we've only done like 2 so far. I think we're going to try another one later.
Okay.
But yeah, it's going to be cool. So we got that one up on iTunes now, which is going to be fun to try and do. But that one we're going to try and do more of like a program, like we're hosting like a program, and we just kind of try and get through a certain set of things that we try and put together every week. But I think it's going to be like a weekly, like what's happening in the sky above us, sort of just a rundown.
Right.
It'll be easy to do, but it'll be fun. It'll be cool to put together. And there's like a bunch of cool night stuff that I like to talk about.
And so weren't you going to work on a calendar?
Yeah,
also?
We got the calendar going too, and that's been really cool. Marina's been doing a ton of work on that to get the art ready for it. And so I think we're just kind of going through and building that, and then we're putting together like the calendar InDesign document that we'll then send out to print, and then we'll just get as many printed as we have orders for, which would be cool.
Oh,
we'll get a bunch for like gifts.
That works out nice, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be easy. That's a nice thing about this age, like the time that we're in, or like just I think it's something that's probably come about maybe in the last like 10 years, is our ability to just get a few of something made.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Like we have this access to mass production stuff, but in the past you really had to really put in a big buy-in to get something going, you know?
Right.
To get a calendar, you needed to order 5,000 calendars or 1,000, or you had to send it out to a distributor or something. Mm-hmm. The publishing cost, the access to that was a lot more difficult. And then now just the access that people have to get into the more complex services given out by like a regular print shop is really nice. And you can get like a few of something, like you can get an order of 10, or you can get an order of like, I don't know, 50,000 made.
Right. And
that's cool.
That is something that's definitely recently just come about. I think of like the, even like 3D printing.
Yeah.
A guy I know at work, he built his own 3D printer, and he makes stuff. Yeah. He's prototyping. I probably shouldn't say it, but no one's going to listen to this anyway, right?
You're right.
So, but he made a prototype. It's like a sleeve that straps around the stem, or not the stem, but the main part of the bong.
Oh yeah.
But it's shaped. It's got a little pocket on the side that can hold a lighter. And so you just strap this thing to your bong, and you can put your lighter right there.
Is it like a watch strap kind of thing, like that?
No, it's all 3D printed, and it's like a U shape. And then at the bottom of the U, it just has that bubble.
It kind of like clips.
Yeah,
on,
and so
like
it just
force.
It's just with a little force.
Sweet.
It bends and snaps right on there.
No way.
It's great. Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna.
I told him he needs to get serious about that, because I was. I'm just sitting there looking at it. I'm like, this is a genius idea. My lighter's right here all the time. And it's not in the way at all. I think it's a very genius idea.
No, they should try and do it. Yeah, you run a Kickstarter, or buy a bunch of 3D printers, have a warehouse of 3D printers. You just running the checklist down as they're all just churning out little bong clips.
You sold me. I'm
running his empire.
Set that up.
We could take this idea, Dave. It's on the ground floor.
You're right. He didn't patent it, so we could just do that. Take it.
Yeah, we got to do it.
But yeah, so just being able to make whatever you want is a great advent.
Yeah.
Well, that once it's even more common, it's gonna just oh, hey, Jimmy, go make a toy to play with.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it will feel like that sooner or later. And it's cool too, even just we can make a calendar and then we can like put out a podcast, or we can like put stuff up on YouTube. All that stuff is like really easy. And
or us right now, just bumping out a podcast.
Yeah, it's cool. And this is fun, man. It'll end up sounding pretty good really when we're done. We just need to get talented and then we're there.
I was gonna say you've got a really good sound going. If I'm honest,
yeah, I think this is pretty cool. We got headphones, we can like hear each other. Like we've got the pop, like we just got it all, man. We got it run through the mixer. We got the 2 channels rendered down, and it sounds pretty good when we put it together. We put it together with some music yesterday. We'll do the same tonight.
Oh, really?
And or like you just drop in like an intro and outro.
Yeah,
thing.
I wonder if we can get like Robert or other people we know to just make us a musical intro.
Oh yeah,
or outro or something.
We should get some sweet ones.
Just a little something to spice it up, make it that much more
it'd be
memorable.
Cool. It'd be cool. Yeah, I'd like to have more layered productions on this going really soon. So I want to try to like ramp up stuff. So I think what we're thinking about doing is like I mentioned this Night Sky podcast that we're putting together. That's all like production about like the night sky, what's happening this week, what you can see and go out and find. So it'll be that. And then we want to do this other one, like a wilderness podcast, or like something that's like backcountry natured. Like we talk about like off-road truck stuff, or we talk about like camping or backpacking or kayaking or biking or skateboarding, or I don't know, just like outdoor adventure lifestyle. Yeah. I think is the idea. But I want to try and figure something out around that or about that where we can talk about outdoor adventure lifestyle stuff and like different places that we've gone camping at, or different like adventure trips that we've gone on. I
would say, I was going to say it would also give us a good reason to go do stuff.
Yeah.
To report on it, basically.
Yeah. I'd like to do that. And I'd like to have it so that we like report on like just good gear and like good places or good like films or something, anything like that. Like there's this one out right now called Maru that's like about like mountain climbers, that sort of thing, or in like mountains in South America that they're doing like these insane summits of. And like that would be a cool thing to cover. We could just like have a reason to go watch it or go to the what is it? I think it's in the spring. It's in April. There's this thing that they do down at the McDonald Theater. And I think there's a couple of the movie theaters that run it, but it's like the Mountain Film Festival. But there's more to it than that. But there's some event that comes through, and it's like all of these independent films that have been put together for like mountain climbing summits that they've done. Like someone like a group puts together a documentary of their summit trip, that sort of a thing.
There was something recently at McDonald with like snowboarding. I think. That's
cool. Yeah, probably the same kind of vein of stuff. But yeah, it'd be cool. We'd have a podcast. We'd like cover those kind of events or like that environment of stuff. Right. Or I mean, just producing something, figuring out stories from the internet and talking about it that week, that sort of thing. But it'd be awesome. We should watch those films too. It'd be cool. Yeah. Or we just like we figure out places to go 4-wheeling and we talk about it, that sort of a thing. Or we talk to
I like the hands-on approach, but
the hands-on approach I'm into.
Get in there, get dirty.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool. So I want to do those 3. That's kind of what I want to try and commit to for the first year. But the goal with it, and like the first 50 of these, I'm at like episode 28 right now of the Billy Newman photo one. The first 50 of these.
It? Only 28.
Yeah, right. Wow. I'm just going to try and push out a ton for Night Sky, a ton for this wilderness one, and a ton for Billy Newman photo that are like simple, easy, kind of getting used to everything, sort of figuring out the bugs in the system. And then from like 50 on, or whenever we figure it out, the idea is to kind of like build it up to that point, and then like have some machine sort of figured out,
Make the machines do it. Yeah, but that's also where, like getting intros and outros would also be, it makes it feel just that much more official.
Yeah,
so,
no, it really would. Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. We should have
got to ramp it up.
Produced pieces. So that's what I'm trying to think of. It's like the first ones, they'll be easy. They'll just be recordings and stuff. And then as we like kind of work on it and get into it, we'll build like intro pieces. We'll do production pieces. Like I'll have you stay and record like a spot, and then we'll like produce it and then put it in the podcast. Gotcha. That sort of a thing.
Gotcha.
That kind of those kind of pieces. But I want to try and like build it out to be a thoughtful thing. But later, because the first 50 are just going to be like communicating that we're putting it together.
Right.
Or like talking about just sort of the idea and trying to hone it down and figure out what we want to do.
And I think that's a really great approach. I think it's...
Yeah, it'll be easier. like, because sometimes you get in over your head where you're like, oh yeah, well, I'll just start with the first podcast being really good, or like produced exactly the way that I want it to be.
Or you just you kind of set yourself up to fail almost when you think like, oh, I'm going to start and it's just going to automatically be fantastic.
Yeah,
but that's not the case. This has definitely been a process of trial and error and getting better stuff and learning how it all works and goes together.
Yeah, it's true. This is a hobby, so I guess it's taken like 2 years just to get to this point of like,
it is a hobby, isn't it? This is the new like ham radio guy.
Oh yeah, probably.
You would have been the guy in his barn right now just fiddling with his antennas.
Yeah, I think I'm a good representation of that guy for 2015. That's what I wanted to grow up to be, this crazy ham radio guy.
In the 70s you would have been right at home.
Yeah, no, it's fun, dude. I like all these, this is cool stuff to have around.
Yeah.
Sweet. We get to just produce some stuff. Man, I swear I'm listening to a bunch of podcasts right now. Just this alone is a better conversation than most.
Boom.
The most that exists in a lot of ways. So I think it'll be really cool. And once we start kind of running through, like we host a format, like where it's not a podcast kind of about us communicating it, but we sort of like, we represent and then we like convey the show. We convey, we kind of just do a show, which would be cool if we kind of can figure that out. But maybe not. It'll be fun to just kind of have a chat show too.
It's kind of funny because I remember when we were first getting into the idea, I was sort of just like, we'll just get together and talk because we talk about cool stuff all the time.
Right. Yeah.
But I've fallen more into this way of your, like, we need a structure or a format or something, just something to keep it in line. And the more, the more we do this, the more I see like, oh, you know what? That would be super fantastic to really just have a couple bullet points or a couple of like hard set topics that a little bit or a lot about, and you can really convey understanding to the audience with.
No, it makes a lot more sense to do it because it gets complicated, man. I mean, it's hard to just have clear thoughts on a lot of subjects for a long period of time. Mm-hmm. I don't know, it comes and goes, but yeah, it makes a lot more sense to just have some kind of structure to the way that you talk for one of these recordings. I want it to still be really natural and I'd like to keep them pretty conversational or like kind of question answer conversation style. But it makes a lot of sense to just have like 3 ideas to kind of come to the table with the conversation with, because you have to think too, like at a certain point at least, like we want other people would listen to it, sort of, so so you got to pull it into line, or you got to pull it into like, is this entertaining to listen to, or is it like a product, mm-hmm. For a while, for a long time, it won't be. It'll just be us gabbing. And we'll just kind of put together, we're just kind of filling in the 20 minutes of time, and then,
it's fantastic.
Moving on.
It's great.
It'll be cool.
I can hear myself talk.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't love that?
Oh yeah, it's pretty sweet, man. You should subscribe. Gotta subscribe, Dave.
I think I'm subscribed on you or iTunes.
Yeah, you can subscribe on iTunes, and I'm starting to do it on YouTube also. That's what I'm going to try and do now. I think that YouTube's important. Like people use YouTube. Turns out,
a couple of them.
Yeah. So I'm going to try and make independent YouTube accounts for each of these podcasts that I was talking about. And then I'm going to try and just post each of the podcasts, the audio file with just like the album art as a video on YouTube, and then like list it with the hashtags and then links from there.
Yeah.
And just have it exist there also. But I think that'd be a good way to populate a YouTube account with stuff and content that I'm doing, and because I don't really do that enough videos to warrant a lot of things happening on the YouTube channel.
No.
But I think that this is a good way to do that. It'll be fun.
I think so too. And there's a lot of there's just a lot of audio files that I listen to on YouTube. And it's just 1 or 2 background pictures, and that's a lot of what I use it for. So I think that's a super viable way to get content out for sure.
Yeah, it'd be a good way to put the podcast up in a spot where people could find it and listen to it,
stumble upon it.
Yeah, it would. I mean, really, that's part of it too, or just kind of building up a subscriber base on YouTube. I think is, just sort of, it's part of the atmosphere right now. If you're trying to do content creation, or if you're trying to like put together things like this, for the internet, I feel like if you're just totally skipping out on YouTube and you're trying to build something, like a lot of the other podcasts we listen to, they have a base, you know?
Right.
So they maybe don't need to start with YouTube, or they don't need to move over there. But I think since we own it, you know, on our site, and we own it through the RSS feed for the podcast, it doesn't really matter too much to me if anything happens to the YouTube side of it. But I want to put it there at first, or, you know, kind of like build those pages up and like make graphics for it. And, you know, every week that we make a new podcast, we put that podcast up, rendered out as a video, and kind of send it out, or have it show up for the people that subscribe to the channel that we have for the podcast.
The smart people.
Only the smart people.
Only the smart people will subscribe.
So talking about smart people, Dave.
Yeah.
You've been working on your truck.
Oh, all day. Every day.
What, so you sent me a Snapchat earlier where you had no steering wheel.
Correct.
What was going on there?
Well, I was putting a new steering wheel on. The one that came with. This is...
Yeah, the old stock steering wheel.
Yeah, this is a 89 Toyota, so it's, 26 years old. And it was just this very big old man steering wheel. And I just...
Old farm truck?
Yeah, just an old farm truck steering wheel, like I was driving a tractor. So that picture you saw is after I took the protective sleeve off around the column.
Right.
And then there's a couple bolts holding the front of the steering wheel on. You take those off, you pull it off, and there's a big nut that's really holding it on.
Big nut.
And yeah. And I kind of tripped myself out about like, oh, is it counter whatever? And no, it's just on there. It's just a big old nut. But took it off, and my favorite part was I just happened to watch a video before doing this, and they had a great tip, which was to screw that nut back on just a little bit.
Okay.
Because what you have to do after you get that nut super loose and off is basically twist and yank and pull every which way on the steering wheel to get it off the column, because it's got a rack and pinion kind of like very tight, teeth lock type deal.
Yeah.
And so you're just pulling on this thing as hard as you can, and sure enough, like once it lets go quick, and it just like slammed into that nut, and I'm like, oh man, if I didn't know that little trick, I would have been slamming myself in the face with the wheel. God. So kind of a nice little save on that. But so after I got it off, it was easier to put the new one on, because the way Toyota engineered that was like screws and then covers and then screws. But this new way is it's all based in the center of the actual column. So I just have to take the steering wheel. You click a button and you slide the sleeve, and the wheel comes out completely.
Really?
It's designed to do that, so you can
swap wheels.
It's mainly for I believe like you'll see like race car driving.
Yeah.
They'll because their doors don't open, so they have to climb in through the windows. But they have a steering wheel that comes off that main little column shaft, and so it's just that's you do it to pretend like you're a race car driver.
Yeah.
But this wheel itself was actually smaller diameter and a bigger thickness in the handles.
Okay.
So it feels more substantial when you drive it.
Oh yeah, I'd like that. And I've noticed that I get to drive around like a lot of the new cars, or just a lot of different cars, different used cars, and I really noticed that like the smaller wheel that's like a little bit thicker of a grip is definitely like what I prefer for handling and stuff for a lot of the cars that I get into.
Yeah, and I would have never really thought about it, but now that it's something I've dealt with, it's like, why would I ever live without
without
tiny,
the steering
fat
wheel you want?
Steering wheel, yeah.
You have to hold it all the time. That is the thing you touch in your car.
Control it. And it does feel like I'm more connected to the car, too. It's just more responsive.
Yeah.
Or the truck, rather. Because just, less, smaller diameter, less turning. So it's just, I'm a very smooth driver, so my movements aren't very, like, jerky or hard.
Smooth
so it's
driving,
it's just very smooth. So if there's an obstacle in the road, I smoothly, and this just, there was
smooth.
There was a pretty substantial curve in the road, and it was like, oh, this really fits my style. Instead of having to grab one end of this tractor wheel and slide it all the way across my dashboard.
At least we have power steering in our era. God, I drove like my grandpa's truck around, the old farm truck, and that thing had your wheel is tiny. That's a sports car wheel in comparison to this. It's just this big old plastic wheel. With the big metal core in it, and you crank it around.
Why was that a good idea?
I don't understand. I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking. They were just putting it together. Who needs to think about it?
Oh, man. It's going to take you 10 minutes to turn this wheel 5 times.
Yeah, you have to like spin the thing around.
And this is what you used to drive with.
Yeah, I was like, man, this thing handles terribly. And I used to think like, oh, it's just because it's like an old truck. Like when it was new, it was probably great. No, it just was always like pretty big and wide. It had like way small tires and a really tall body. And really wide, and like the old GMC Sierra trucks in like the 70s. Yeah. It's just this big, huge, boxy thing. But yeah, just handled terrible, clunked around everywhere, terrible, or like kind of just not a stellar suspension by any means. Yeah. This is pretty primitive.
Leaps and bounds have been made in the automotive industry. That's for sure.
Really strange. You can really tell. I was hearing that like the biggest reason to buy new is just because of the improvement of the base technology that's out there. Like you get like a base Ford Fiesta right now, and it's got like 12 airbags and like a bunch of crumple zones. And it's just like the probability that you'll survive or you'll survive like a bad accident is way, way higher just with having a new vehicle. Or it's just like, it's just way better just because the base technology. Like if you had like a Volvo from the late 80s, like the top of the line safety rated Volvo from the 80s, and then just like whatever junky domestic cars out there right now, like now wins. Now is better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just technology.
Yeah.
Because I've kept a lot of my old cell phones just to have them. A lot of them were just like spares, but you just kind of look at them and you're like, man, this feels like a gigapet or something. Oh yeah, because like the screen is just this weird like LCD. Yeah, no color, just that kind of greenish back with the black letters.
God, I got my first phone in 2004. I think it was like 2004, 2005. I think it was spring of 2005 is actually when I got it. So now I've been a cell phone owner for 10 years now. Remember that track phone scam that I had?
Yeah, you
ran that track phone scam. So to explain it quickly, I had a track phone scam. I thought it was pretty ingenious for the time. I felt like a criminal mastermind. I was in high school and I had a phone for free. And I spent like $30 as a down payment. I got this track phone and it came with like 60 minutes or 100 minutes or something like that. My God, it's like nothing. But you could get that and you could just buy it with cash. You didn't need a credit card or anything. So I got that when I was like 16. And then I set it up. And then I'd like return the phone. I'd return the phone at the end of its period. And then I would get the money back. And then I'd go back and then buy a new one. And I'd have a new phone number because I'd register a new phone package every month. I'd have a new phone number. It was insane. It kind of escalated over time. And I was able to keep one cell phone for a while. And I'd like refer myself to a new cell phone, and then each phone would get like 300 minutes, which would be like a month's worth for me. So I just like buy a phone and refer myself the minutes to keep my phone number, and then I'd return that other phone. But I'd have the minutes still. So I just
it is ingenious. It really is.
I'm a subversive, Dave.
Yeah, I know. You definitely showed your talent there.
I think they stopped allowing those products to be returned, and I believe it is because of me
directly.
I am patient zero.
That's absolutely true.
The company was having board meetings. We are hemorrhaging money, guys.
Someone in Grants Pass, Oregon they're taking us going through these phones.
Has to be the work of professionals.
This must be a crack team of CIA trained.
Yeah, it's a Russian operatives. Mob operating an illegal underground.
KGB just made their way.
No, it's just some nerdy high school kid in Grants Pass who's broke.
Isn't it always just some kid figuring it out?
Just some kid. Yeah.
Especially
so I figured out
those movies. It's just we have this hacker. He's the only one who can do it.
Matthew Broderick stopped global thermonuclear war. Thank goodness. He's got our back, Dave.
always keeping us safe.
So Dave,
yes,
I want to talk to you about the steering wheel thing. I want to get a new steering wheel, or I'm interested. How do you source it? Where'd you go? Like, what are you looking for?
You know,
are there like a lot of wheels?
At least for what I was looking for, a lot of the stuff obviously we will find in the same place. But eBay, I think, was where I got mine. It was just the easiest. There's a couple of vendors, a little bit of selection. Yeah. It seems like the wheels are pretty much all the same.
Sure.
But they'll come in different colors. So there's probably just one factory in China somewhere just cranking these things out. But
is it like one company that's doing it, or are they?
Well, so there's different sellers.
Okay.
But it is the same product.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah. So I just kind of found one that I liked. Actually, this was the second one that I ordered, because the first one I ordered, they contacted me a couple days later, and they, couldn't find it, or they got the wrong one, and they're like, do you want the one that was a mistake? And I like, no, I think I'll wait for the one that I wanted.
Yeah.
And then they just were terrible about contacting me, and finally it was they kept sending me emails saying, congratulations, you've won, like, oh, you won the bid for the wheel. And I'm like, I know, it's been like a month. But anyway, so I just canceled that one and got the exact same thing from somebody else. Okay. And boom shakalaka, here it is.
Was that from Asia that they drop ship it from?
No, these sellers were all in the US.
Okay.
So
that's cool.
China's shipping them over here, and people are getting them cheap, selling them for cheap.
Are they aftermarket, like they look just like the Toyota wheel you had, or are they like a new car wheel?
I would say there's a couple of them. Some look kind of like probably newer car models, but the one I got looked like an old. It kind of looks like the arcade steering wheel that you would find.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wasn't too happy about that, but the rest of it was great. It had like stitched fabric, and there's again, I'm just kind of like a little. I'm turning my truck into a little racer wannabe type thing, but it's got like a red band on the very top of the steering wheel.
Sure, yeah.
So if you were a professional driver, you can tell where the center point of the wheel was.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just just a little notch of color, but it looks, I don't know, to me it looks cool.
Sweet.
And I figure the way my brain works, that I'll utilize it. I'll still use that little mark.
My truck is almost all stock still, I guess, except for the few changes that we've made. But that wheel is old, and like you can see like where the hands have worn into it. You know? So like it's a gray material that's like worn down to like almost a white yellow
just in
rubber that's left.
Yeah.
So all the gray color is just gone, and it's just wearing down to this kind of tanned, oxidized white plastic.
Just gotta grab yourself a steering wheel cover.
Steering wheel covers.
I used to get like the leather like gripped ones for my Camaro.
Oh yeah.
I just felt cool. But,
I was trying to think of a good one. I never really liked the feel of them. I like a tight fitted wheel.
I hate steering wheel covers, but it was just a phase. You
go through it. The steering wheel cover phase.
Just
who hasn't gone through that when they were young,
right? Man. I thought everyone did. But yeah, it's for my truck anyway. It was an easy swap and definitely an easy buy. Money wise, $50. Nice at the max.
That's great.
If you're going for the cheapest one, there's some out there for a couple $100. But
whoa, a diamond.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, there's some stuff like gold plated steering wheel.
Sounds pretty boss.
It's probably just pretend gold.
I put a gold-plated steering wheel in my 4Runner.
I almost bought one where those center spokes were gold because it was cheap and it looked kind of cool, and I was like, why not? Why wouldn't I just
do it? Gold center spokes.
But I took a second, sat back, and pretended I was in my truck, and like imagined having a gold wheel, and I was just like, no, this is.
You made the right choice, Dave.
I think I did. Yeah,
you made the right choice.
I went all black with red stitch. So.
Gotta go all black.
Yeah, that's the style of my truck anyway. It's all black. So,
Dave, I was trying to remember because we talked about this when we went on our truck trip a couple weeks ago, like when we went driving around, and then we podcast about it. but it's been so long now. We've got that delay.
A little delay.
How can you do it? So I know it's old hat, it's old news, but man, we went on a outdoor trip where we took the trucks out. Like we went up to some of those roads that are west of Eugene, west of Junction City, out in those hills. Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool. I was digging like just those forest roads and like where they like kind of meander off to. It's pretty cool.
There was a lot of it was cool because a lot of them like kind of went to the same spot, so you never felt super lost. You just kind of were exploring this little maze that you knew
it's
the
cool.
ins
It's
and outs of.
like a little circuit of stuff, but it seems big enough and it occupies enough time that it's as much, or I think how would I say it, like kind of satisfies what I want of like opportunities to go into like backcountry roads and drive around. You know, there's a lot of place to go out over there, like more than, if I remember right, like more than what I remember or what we would go on in Southern Oregon.
I
like we had a couple sort of short roads that we could kind of get out on, but it wasn't like as expansive or as many like cutoffs that would sort of branch out into whole different areas or like whole different networks of routes that you could put together. I think these like rolling hills out here are pretty cool for that. And it's great, man. Having these CPs on our trucks is like fantastic for like communication, driving around like with a small group of people.
Absolutely.
But it makes way more sense when you have a group that, or like, you know, when you're not the only person with a CP.
Right.
I haven't talked to one person yet on that I would ever want to hear.
No, I've listened to a few conversations and they're just not things I ever want to get involved in.
Not things you want to get involved in.
If you've never been on the CB waves, you're missing America's Prime.
America's Prime is out there driving next to you.
Right? Like these are the people in those big semis next to you. That's the fun part.
There's some insane people out there. Do you listen to your ham radio much?
I'd say no.
Yeah, I'd say no too. I put mine in my bag finally. I think maybe it's up there now, but yeah, I want to try and check it out. Have you checked out the repeaters around here?
No, not at all.
You should do it, man. Yeah, I want to show you how to set up the repeaters on that radio that you got.
I remember you were hitting one of them when we first got the hams.
Gotta hit those repeaters.
Gotta hit those repeaters.
That's really the only way. That's the fun thing about ham radios that we don't get with CB. Like if we're doing radio stuff, oh man, I should set up a radio studio over here.
Yeah, why not?
Gotta get like a ham antenna. That'd be a cool project. We should put a ham
just outside
radio
your window.
antenna. Yeah, we'll just hang a cooked ham out the window.
Can we get like no? Can we get one of those like 18-foot whip antennas that just
whip?
Yeah, there's just those like metal ones that are just crazy.
That'd be sweet. I wanna like run one outside the window and just kind of run it discreetly up the side of the house and see what we can pick up.
Right. Well, cool. I don't know how high your roof goes or whatever, but that's what I mean is like if we can get something that clears the rooftop, that's where we'll get the most stuff. Yeah,
I want to try and secretly put an antenna out.
Yeah, well, you know how to get on the actual roof, right? You can just
I think I could figure it out.
Do it that way, drop the cable down the side, connect it through your window.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
That'd be cool. But yeah, I want to do more ham stuff. And so I've just got this little handheld unit, this Baofeng. I think it's
Baofeng.
I think if you translate it, it's like storm wind. Seems pretty intense.
I thought it translated to from China.
Yeah.
Oh, Baofeng from China.
Sounds like that too. I think it's Baofeng, China. I think it's like a place, right?
Oh, wow. Probably. Maybe.
But it is China, yeah.
Oh,
but the 2-channel
I can see the future.
radio, though, the cool thing about ham stuff is that there's